So, either way, welcome to DIY EdTech. Thanks all so much for being troopers and being here with us this afternoon. In true DIY fashion, we have this going today, but we also have a good presentation for everybody. Just a good chance to hear some of the resources that we consider kind of go-to resources, but also to give you all a chance to teach us a couple of things, really, because I think that we have resources that we always use, but I know that you folks may as well. And if you do, we always would love to hear them. But a couple of quick introductions here. My name is Kyle Wilson. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Steer Farm in Burrillville. At Steer Farm, teaching 4th grade for going on 8 years now. And I'll let these two boys introduce themselves as well. So,
my name is Tom Driscoll. I recognize many of you in the audience here just from past presentations. I taught in Connecticut the past 8 years as a high school social studies teacher. This is my first year as director of EdTech over at the Bristol Regional School District. So another part of today's presentation is offering a variety of perspectives on the EdTech and the integration. Classroom teacher, I was just a classroom teacher, now in a tech director type role, and also to an administrator role, so that's moving to Jared.
So my name's Jared Vance. I'm the principal at Kickamute Middle School. Warren. Tom and I kind of got hired right around the same time. I started in July. I think you started in August. Prior to that, I was down at Kickamute Middle School in South Kingstown. Kyle and I are Fuse Fellows together, so that's kind of how we all kind of connected. But yeah, this presentation, I'm going to give you kind of an administrator's perspective on, EdTech in the classroom, some of my go-to tools, and as well as we'll talk classroom and from a director's perspective.
So kind of a unique background here. And really what we're going to do is just kind of share with our kind of low-cost, no-cost kind of tools and apps, but not keep it just to tools and apps, because there's a lot of presentations that will focus just on those things. But we also know there are things that work behind the scenes that also kind of help get your blended learning initiatives, your tech integration initiatives off the ground. And that includes just management techniques, management of the technology in your classroom. And also, we all have various, whether it's because of you or your better half, various DIY projects around the house that always remain unfinished, right? As we speak. Yeah, lots of heads nodding right now. But a little sweat equity and actually following through and finishing them is half the battle. And the same can be said with technology. And really, what we'd like to do for the second half of this is really kind of split off into some groups, and we'll outline those groups for you shortly in terms of, what solutions do you have, what solutions can we share to help you as you start school on Monday. Really that's what our goal is. Okay. So, kind of that's really the plan of attack that we just said. We'll kind of have some unconferencey style sessions, so to speak, and we'll share our top 3 EdTech strategies, and we hope that by the end that you've also kind of developed your top 3. And then we have a doc that we'll all be able to collaborate in, and then make that public for all of you folks and make the link easy to get to, so that it's something that you can reference, not just create here and then walk out the door and say, well, that was interesting, right? And we'll have our little bit of share fest. So to lead things off, I figured when we were coming up with a title for this presentation, I thought that there was really no better resource than Urban Dictionary to actually go ahead and figure out what to name this silly thing, right? So you figure out, and these really came from, well, what can you not find on Urban Dictionary, okay? And really DIY, do-it-yourself is cool. No more buying junk that you can do yourself, right? And EdTech is an infinite realm within the Pinterest and Twitter spheres, where you can't possibly take advantage of all the sweet stuff available to you, even though it's the next best thing. It's actually kind of demoralizing, right? It's like info overload like you wouldn't believe. Okay. So other than that, what we're going to share with us were, like I said, just some of those go-to tools, and we'll lead off with Tom.
Okay, so the first thing is that when you think about EdTech strategies and like the DIY tech tools, you always got to think about what is the problem, what is it that I'm trying to address? Because a lot of times, like, and I even got caught up in this, I would find a tool and I would try to figure out how it works and then try to weave it into my class. But that's backwards, right? Because I didn't really think about what's the point of it and why did I need that. So if you think about it from a perspective of what am I trying to do, what's a roadblock, what's a problem, and then try to backfill and say, all right, what are some tech tools that are out there that you can use? That's a better way to wrap your mind around it. So if you need to share digital resources efficiently, I suggest using Bitly's. Who in here uses Bitly to share stuff? Okay, why?
Well, because normally if I'm sharing a doc or something with my students, the address is so long that you can't send it out in like a remind or something.
Exactly. Has anyone seen the actual link address when you share a Google Doc? There's no way anyone could possibly write that down or to type it out. So if you're not in a situation that you can easily share something through a link or a learning management system or a website, it's not possible. And I've seen this a lot where a teacher will have something on the board and it'll have a web address and it'll be like 35 characters long. And it's like a second grade class. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, and I understand that maybe they just didn't know that that tool was out there, but this is a way for you guys to share those longer links. So what I did is I put a tutorial to it. So in the slide deck, if you click the Bitly tutorial, it's a screenshot walkthrough of how to use it. It's as simple as you take the URL of your website, paste it into Bitly, and it's a link shortener that lets you customize it. Okay, because I know Google has that automatic one, but it has that crazy uppercase L, lowercase W, Z thing. That's not easy for kids to understand. So Bitly helps you customize. So after the Bitly, you can put whatever you want. Okay, so that's a good way to customize. And then if you think of things on the fly, like say you're driving into work and you think of something, you see a website, you may not have time to go into your LMS or your website to put a link, but you can just throw Bitly up on the board. So that's the first thing as far as resource sharing. Second, as far as collecting and analyzing student data or getting student feedback, I think the first one is Google Forms, because one, it's built into the Google Apps Suite, which most of you have or at least have access to. And second, you have this app called Fluber. Has anyone used Fluber before? Okay, what is the power of Fluber?
It grades it for you.
Yeah, there's two big things. One, it grades it for you. So that's one of the biggest wastes of a teacher's time, is hand grading multiple choice stuff. That never has to be done ever again, in my point of view. Like, you can offload that to technologies, and all of that time you just got back as a teacher to do anything else better than just grading multiple choice things. So yes, it grades it for you, but the second thing is that it does analytics. Right? So you'll have an item analysis of what they got right, what they didn't get right. So if you're trying to track trends over time, the Fluber is a good script for that. But even if you're not using Fluber, Google Forms is just a great way to collect data from students and from teachers. And then the last one is big, because budgets can be tight sometimes, right? We can't keep spending X thousands of dollars on new content. So open educational resources are ways that you can curate digital content for free online. There's a lot of good ones out there, but the two that I find that are the best right now are CK12 and LearnZillion. LearnZillion tends to be more elementary. CK12 tends to have more information or more content for the higher ed. Another one out there is called OER Commons. Okay, if you want to jot that one down, that has a lot of stuff too. Is it perfect? No. Okay, there's still some quality issues with some of the resources. But if your school is lacking licenses to software that provide a lot of content for you, these are good places to start. And actually, they just hired a new position at the Office of EdTech down in DC, just to help school districts curate these open educational resources to free up money, to free up funds to invest in other places. You'd be surprised how much districts spend on software that never gets used. Okay? So if your district needs devices or needs X, Y, and Z, a good place to start is to find out what software is not being utilized, getting rid of it, utilizing open educational resources, and then repurposing where those funds need to go. Okay, any questions on this before I hand it off to Jared? Actually, did that video end up working?
Yeah.
All right, let's give this one strategy offered by a student that I met on Friday at Rockwell Elementary School. Let's see if we can get this to play. Oh,
No,
of course.
hold on.
But we have a backup if the audio works.
Have an Xbox or PlayStation.
I'll try it.
If you can't go on Discovery Education at home and you have an Xbox or PlayStation, you can work on the things you're doing in Discovery Ed on your system. Like the interactive glossary, the science textbook, and the board builder. So, and you can do that on any Xbox or PlayStation. Well, from Xbox One, I know, and PlayStation 4.
Okay, trust me, he was way more excited when he told me that in class than when I cornered him with an iPad. But he came up to me and he was like, my computer is slow as molasses. My mom's computer stinks. But I went on my PlayStation and I got on Discovery and I could go on the board with my teachers or something else. So he was able to do this himself. And I never realized it, but if you think about it, like an Xbox, like that's a Microsoft product, right? I think, right? That's a really nice computer there. Yeah, so schools, so parents that say, oh, we don't have a computer for our kid. Yes, you do if you have an Xbox or PlayStation, and a lot of those are starting to tie into the internet. I think all of them do now. So you can access some of these things that possibly they didn't even know, but they can help troubleshoot that for you.
Did you see this? All right. So as an administrator, for me, really kind of my top 3 things that I like to focus on is capacity, data collection, and then being able to have self-paced lessons for students, right? And so in this transition into more of a blended learning environment, or we're integrating more technology, one of the biggest roadblocks is building teacher capacity, right? So what we try and do from an administrative side is to give out some apps or some approaches that are really kind of simple, really easy to get underneath them and implement them into the classroom the next day. One of those is today's Meet. If you noticed at the beginning of the presentation, there was a link down at the bottom, and we said, for back channeling, you can post there. Today's Meet's really, really simple. You create the room, and it's basically signing in and titling it, and then students can log in under a name, and then they can start, responding to what's happening in your room. They can ask questions. They can, write comments. All of it you can save and go back to and look at the transcript, so you can go back and answer those kids' questions the next day. So what it does also for the kids in the room, for the student that's not going to put their hand up in the back of the room because they're petrified to ask a question in front of their peers, they can put their response into today's Meet. The teacher can see it and then answer the question in front of everybody. So it gives them that they're still kind of anonymous in the room, but able to get their issues addressed. But that's a simple one. Another one that I like to use is Poll Everywhere. It's on your phones. It's an immediate response. That's a pretty simple app to use, but that also gives you that immediate data. You can watch it, live during a lesson as people are responding in the room. Do your kids understand the concepts? Are they able to answer those questions? And it gives the feedback right back to the classroom teacher so that they can adjust instruction or change their practice. Another one I like for data collection is Socrative. And there are a lot of different parts to Socrative that can be used, but it's quick assessments, and they can also be used on a phone, right? So if you're a district that doesn't have a lot of devices and kids are coming in and you're doing a BYOD, they can answer these things on their phone. So just download the app. But again, it gives that teacher that immediate feedback. You can do formative assessment. They can track where kids are immediately in the classroom and provide feedback. Has anybody used Socrative? Oh, am I saying it right, or is it Socrative? I call it Socrative. The other one that I really, really like is BlendSpace. BlendSpace, it basically gives you a template for how to create lessons. Whether you're doing a flipped lesson or you're doing some station rotation model in your classroom, kids can jump onto the BlendSpace and access the curriculum and the content that you have outlined in there. You can pull videos in, you can pull research articles in, you can create videos on your own and put those in. You can put in links. You can dump in a form from Google. So you can have kids on their own, at their own pace, go through the activities that you would have in your classroom, and then be able to take an assessment at the end. So they're not locked into, okay, we all have to do these things at the same time. I might be somebody that's just gonna read right through the article real quick, watch a video, answer the question, while somebody else might take a little bit longer. So it gives them that flexibility. So when we talk about our top 3, I have 4 things that I like to go to. It's Today's Meet, Poll Everywhere, Socrative, and BlendSpace. Build capacity, collect data, and allow kids to work at their own pace.
Yeah, before conference, there's one last thing I want to say about the BlendSpace. Is just that helps us reconceptualize what a personalized learning environment looks like, because I've been working more with elementaries this year in my new role, and they're really big in the station rotation, and I love it. But I think sometimes it's still too driven by the times. Okay, so whether the kid fully completed that station or not, or fully learned it or not, they're still kind of moving around. But a lot of them are starting to move more towards a individual station approach with a playlist. or they're still moving through stations, as you would call them, but it's when they're ready to. So using tech like this helps you organize and manage that, especially if you have a lot of different kids in your class doing different things. This helps make that more viewable in the classroom.
Cool. So the we have the clicker. Let's put it down.
Put it right there.
Right there. So the approach that I took to this was really more of a to preserve my own sanity kind of tools, right? I've only been at it 8 years, but as many of you know, with lots of children running around your own home, right? Your time is valuable, your time is limited. And so really what I wanted to try to do was to create some tools that would frankly streamline my life. And really kind of augment what limited tools I already have in the classroom, but also just to make myself more available for the kids, which is really kind of a common answer. You know, you want to spend more time with, you know, the students in your classroom, but you also want to spend more time with your kids. Okay? So really the first thing that I wanted to focus on was a lot of the data collection and the assessment. And anybody familiar with EduSite at all? I know they've been to one of the EdTech meetups, I think, a while back last year. Small startup, but at the same time, they give you a gradebook platform that is just the easiest to use I've ever seen. We use Skyward. Anybody use Skyward in their districts? Yeah. Skyward's a monster, a complete monster in terms of a whole school management setup. And it has a gradebook, but it's really, really hard to figure out. And so I use EduSite as an alternative. And EduSite but they have an app with the purple thing that says ED right there. They have an app that is called EduSite Notes. And EduSite Notes is something that's linked in directly with the gradebook, but it's on your iPad, and you can take physical evidence from the student's learning, and you can take a picture of it. And you can also type in notes, but a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if they're adding or subtracting, they're having a difficulty, a lot of times I'll walk over right with the Notes app, and I will just take a picture of it, and now I have evidence of it. And it's already paid dividends in a few of the meetings that I've had this year with different families and different parents and stakeholders. And I'm able just to kind of show it right to them, right? So those two things, really for data collection, storing all my assessment data, they've been invaluable. The next thing is a lot of the organization, the planning, and the curation of a lot of the resources that I find online. And anybody use Evernote as a platform?
Couldn't live without it.
Exactly. You and I. Nice job.
No.
Right? So Evernote helps me streamline my personal life, but also all of the emails that I get from parents, and different school updates and calendar. Setting the mood here.
The web
Right
clipper
below you.
is the best part.
Yeah. So right on top is 100%. So whatever you want. So the Web Clipper is great. It's an extension within Chrome, and you have the option to clip individual emails out of your Gmail account. You also have the ability to clip entire web pages. And a lot of times with different lesson plan websites, if you find a lesson or a unit that you really, really like, sometimes actually getting it off that website is a bit of a pain. And the format doesn't come out the right way, and with Web Clipper, you can go right ahead and you can clip the entire physical web page and put it right into an Evernote notebook. You do need an Evernote account, but it does so much and more. And the Web Clipper really is something that really helps me organize a lot of the emails, like I said, lesson plans and calendars that you get at the beginning of the school year. You know, you get a ton of those emails from your main office that says, you know, here's what's coming up, and I store everything in Evernote with the Web Clipper. To kind of go hand in hand with the Web Clipper is my eliminating headaches tool. And right now, and you don't have to admit it, but if you have a Gmail inbox that is over 100 emails, raise your hand. 200?
At 18,000.
Okay, so my man Tom over here, so you would love this little hack. So the multiple inboxes is a Google Lab. When you go into your settings, and the same thing, I have some screenshots that I will throw on the doc that we have so you can see what it looks like. It takes a little bit of time on the front end to kind of put you label everything in your inbox so that I have a needs action. right? And then I have a need to reply, and then I have a scheduled inbox, and I have a save/download, because you know all those emails and attachments you get, but you're like, I don't know what to do with this yet. So I just don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. And so with that, I'm able to keep my inbox at 0 all the time. You know that acronym, Ohio, only handle it once. That's it, right? So I will, that's something that really is just such a cool tool, and it takes a little bit of time, but it pays dividends, like I said. The last thing for the instruction and creation piece that I use is something called Reflector. I don't have a interactive whiteboard in my room, but this is really the next best thing. Anybody heard of Reflector before at all? It's from a company called Air Squirrels. So Air Squirrels develops workarounds with those thick-headed Apple products sometimes, in terms of not being able to mirror it, or having a super long VGA cable that you have to kind of trail around the room. And that's what I had with my iPad for a long time. And I had my students using it all the time, whether it was just something that they were kind of presenting to the class or showing to the class, but I had, you know, a VGA cord the length of this room. And after it gets stepped on enough times, it stops working. And then you have to go to Walmart and buy another VGA cable. So Reflector is great because it it mirrors whatever's on your screen through AirPlay without actually needing a $100 Apple TV. All right, I can show that to you on the screen here earlier. And the greatest part about Reflector is that any of you in this room could actually access my Reflector and show your stuff up on the screen. So if we were all on the same Wi-Fi network. So it's something that I use instead of that board, instead of that interactive whiteboard, and it grants me a lot more flexibility to show the kids what I want to show them. And so like I said, a lot of the stuff I wanted to do and to share with all of you were things that just made my work a lot more streamlined, right? And I hope that they can do that for you as well.